Let us have a moment of silence for those that lost their life in Charlottesville for the cause of justice. Sister Heather Hyatt. Amen. We have heard, beloved, these wonderful words. And dare I say, many of us are agitated, and I'm glad about it. You see, when folk ask me as a pastor, how dare you be political, I tell them I was born black. To be born black is to be born political. To learn how to negotiate the spaces of a white world. Truth be told, many of us have been at this circle before. We mobilize and then we lose our energy. As a matter of fact, dare I say, many of us, maybe not you but your neighbor, has profited from the pain of an America that is impoverished in its soul. You see, all of us, to a certain extent, are guilty. All of us are guilty as charged. We are guilty when we remain silent at the water cooler. We are guilty when we remain silent at the family barbecue. When we excuse, well, that's just Uncle Bob, that's the way he is. We are guilty by association. Now I know that we love us some Dr. King. Oh man, preachers love to talk about Dr. King. They like to emasculate Dr. King. Don't tell me about what bridge you stood on in 1964. Tell me about what bridge you standing on right now. You see, Donald Trump is not a fluke. Donald Trump is not a mistake. Let us look in the mirror. Donald Trump is as an American as Chevrolet and apple pie. America produced Barack Hussein Obama, and America produced Donald J. Trump. That is the psyche of America's soul that deals with an internal contradiction that it has never been able to address. Yes. Dare I say that the largest and most profitable ship that transported the most black and brown bodies from the coast of West Africa to the shores of these yet-to-be United States was a ship that was christened and named Jesus. We have always taken a theology and married it with a national agenda and asked God to bless it. We even sing the song, God bless. God has been blessing America. But the fact of the matter is now is the time, beloved. We are in the vortex of a zeitgeist moment, a moment that we have never seen before, and dare I say that some of my white-skinned allies will go home and write academic research papers on Charlottesville and profit from it. That's how white supremacy works. We read about it, we fetishize it, we become black curious but not black serious. Yes. We get degrees in PhD in racism, but we forget about locating ourselves in the struggle. Now is the time to relook at Dr. Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail. Dr. King said, step number one, and I want you to notice he wrote that to clergy, who said, what are you doing down in Birmingham? We got good color folk that know their place, Reverend. Step number one, educate yourself. And educate yourself with the truth, because, beloved, The world is too dangerous for anything but truth and too small for anything but love. And in a world where some would have you to believe that alternative facts is truth, truth crushed to the earth will eventually rise again. So you got to educate yourself. Educate yourself. Look at your neighbor and say, educate yourself. Beyond Facebook, educate yourself. Beyond the hashtag, educate yourself.
I work at Target.
That was step number one. Then step number two, Dr. King said you got to disseminate information. In other words, show up at them family barbecues, and when they pass the sauce, you pass your ideology and your thoughts about how racist Uncle Bob is. Disseminate. Disseminate that information. Disseminate that information. Step number three. This is probably the hardest step.
So we have to.
You got to purify yourself. Okay. Purify yourselves.
And besides,
that you got to allow yourself to be put in the fire of adversity. You see, this is wonderful. We are agitated, we're enraged, but some of us are inadvertently profiting from racism in a very subtle and insidious way. We have created, even in our own Lehigh Valley, what I call the nonprofit industrial complex. Everybody got a program for everything. Everybody's trying to give a free this, a free that, a free this. That's charity. Charity is good. But charity will never replace justice. It's time for you to hashtag your cousins. Hey, go get your cousins. Hashtag that. I need to go get my cousin. I need to locate myself as a white-skinned ally, accomplice, who is willing to be placed in the fire. You see, some of us have been in the fire all our lives. And we are wanting you to join us in the fire. Don't worry, there's plenty good room. There's plenty good room in the fire because the fire purifies. The fire burns off what we shouldn't have had in us in the beginning. Putting yourself in the fire might mean resigning from that racist board that uses dog whistle language like those kids, those people. You know, those polite, respectable groups that we belong to kind of buff up the resume. Purify yourselves from those charitable acts that are really a continuation of injustice. In other words, dare to risk your reputation. Dare to get yourself into what my friend John Lewis calls good trouble. Go and get yourself into some good trouble. Good trouble. Go get yourself into some good trouble. Go and find some good trouble. Don't worry. I know some of you are fearful. You're fearful because you might lose friends. If you bring your truth, you might lose friends. I tell you this, if your friends can't take your truth, they ain't your friends to begin with. You might even lose some crazy cousin. You might even lose some kinfolk. But that's all right, all your skinfolk ain't your kinfolk. You see, what is happening in our nation? It's not by mistake, it's by design. The system is acting and operating exactly the way the system was meant to operate, and by all indicators, by 2050, the United States of America will be mostly a brown and beige country. And everybody knows it. So they cannot stop it, but they can sure as hell slow it down. Slow it down by making voter suppression legal. Legalizing voter suppression is slowing the browning down. Building a wall, slowing the browning down. Going after elected officials who are black and brown for what everybody else does, not excusing or condoning, is slowing it It is hard. It is difficult. It is hard. It is hard to disarm myself when the thing that you are most threatened by is my blackness. So this is the reality that many of us live into, and I'm going to tell you, there are two Americas. Oh yes, there are two Americas. There are two Americas, and we are either in the hospice. This is the last gasp of a dying nation. The last gasp of a dying nation in hospice, when every breath is longer and more deep and shallow than the breath that came before it. Or we are in the birthing room, about to give birth to an America that has only been a myth, but not a reality. There's a new American majority. There's a new American majority, and it looks like this crowd. And folk are afraid. That's a good thing. Folk are afraid, but we need you to leave this place. We need you to leave this place and really make change be your prayer. Make change be your prayer. Please do not say, I'm a good person, but those other folk. Look at yourself and ask yourself every day when you show up to a job that makes people invisible and renders them disposable, how am I playing a fool's part? Some of you might find you need a new job.
Amen.
Some of you might find you need a new neighborhood.
Amen.
But if you begin to push, look at your neighbor and say push. Look at your neighbor and say push. You know, you can't bring life out of you without a struggle. This is an American struggle. And we gotta push. We gotta push. And in the words of my friend, Reverend Dr. William Barber, we are forward together, not one step back. 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 Now is the time for my white progressive friends to leave the kiddie pool of academic language and hashtags and to join us who are drowning on the other side. Now is the time. Now is the time like never before. Don't limit yourself to one single identity. Mothers and fathers and sons and daughters, and many of us here biracial, multicultural. Now is the time to say, no, this land is my land. This land is your land. This land is our land. And don't be dog whistle. Listen, don't get to that stuff on Facebook going back and forth with folks. You can't argue with fools. No, I'm serious.
That's right.
You can't argue. We need you all to leave your workplace on the same day. Do that action. Because see, Facebook and social media is good. We can use it for the greater good. But we often use anonymity because inside of us we still have a level of cowardice.
Yes.
So now is the time. Now is a definitive moment that we've never seen before, that the universe is calling for these yet to be United States to come out of the closet and to go through this birthing process of identifying those three evils that Dr. King talked about: excessive militarism, and excessive materialism, and racism. Now is the time to look at our neighbors and see the face of the divine in each other. Now is the time to say, push, baby, push. Now is the time not to grow weary, not to talk about. Now is the time to try to build a movement beyond mobilizing because you're pissed off. Now is the time. Now is the time. Dr. King said this, and I'm done. The arc of the universe is long, and it's bent towards justice. But that arc don't bend without some pressure. That ark don't bend without some pressure. Now I want to know, by raising hands, how many folk are willing? You know, when you go and you break an arm and the doctor says, tell me where it hurts? Black folk been telling white folk a long time, I've been telling you, baby, where it hurts. Now is the time to apply some pressure. Apply pressure. Apply pressure. Well, where do you apply it? Apply it where it hurts. And sometimes what heals you will hurt somebody else. So let me leave you with these 3 areas to apply it to. You apply it to the ballot. Apply that pressure to the ballot. If you got some folks that ain't registered to vote, that's a sin and a shame. Get them registered to vote. You apply it at the ballot. Because some folks won't listen to anything until you come for their jobs. You apply it at the ballot, and then you apply it with your body. I follow an Afro-Asiatic Palestinian Jew with fierce anger and radical love, nappy hair and brown feet by the name of Jesus. And Jesus said these words, this is my body. This is my body which is given for you. What are you willing to give your body for? What are we willing to give our body for? And then my last point, after you apply it to the ballot and the body, apply it to the buck. Apply it, because that is our nation's God. To the point that we have placed it on the dollar bill. In God we trust. All other folk, but in God we trust. Stop shopping and patronizing places that you know have discriminatory policies. Even if it's the last pair of shoes. Even if you're the only one that puts your hair a certain way. Even if that's the last car on the lot. Stop enforcing bigotry by supporting folks that don't give a damn about you and don't give a damn about yours. Some folks will only listen when the flow of currency is turned off. But I want you to look at your neighbor and say, neighbor? No, I'm not your neighbor. I'm here. Look at your neighbor. Now, I'm serious. Because we are uncomfortable. We are living in a time where you better get comfortable looking in someone's eyes. But I want you to look in your neighbor's eyes and say, neighbor, or neighbor, forward together. Forward together. Not one step back. Not one step back. Forward together. Forward together. Not one step back. Not one step back. Forward together. Forward together. Not one step back. Not one step back. Now look at their feet. Now point to their feet. Because sometimes, you know, at these rallies we speak a whole lot of big game with our mouth, but your feet is what counts. Look at your feet, point at your neighbor's feet, and tell them forward together. Forward together. Not one step back. Not one step back. Forward together. Forward together. Not one step back. Not one step back. Forward together. Forward together. Not one step back. Not one step back. Are we ready to do this thing, y'all? Yeah!